It is all about mac and cheese today in Barbie's kitchen. That's right, I'm cooking it for my friend Barbie's, and we're making a mac and cheese feast. Kicking things off, it's a homemade sheet pan style mac and cheese that I'm turning into 3 separate dishes. Dish number 1, fried mac and cheese balls with mayoracha. Then it's mac and cheese waffles with a bacon jam. And last but not least, chili mac with homemade Cincinnati style chili. So why don't you pull up a chair and dine with us?
Welcome back, everybody. We are my friend Barbie's kitchen. So you'll remember her from the season opener. We cooked for that benefit for her, and I told her about this mac and cheese menu I was doing, and so she said, you have to come fix this for my children. They love mac and cheese. And I said, okay. So I have a mac and cheese here. This is just a casserole style mac and cheese. And we're going to break it up into 3 separate dishes. But first, I'm going to show you exactly how I assembled this.
First, 2 boxes of elbow macaroni and add it to a pot of boiling salted water. Then I set the pasta to cook for about 7 to 8 minutes for al dente, 10 if you like it a little more done. Remember to stir the pasta generously to keep it from sticking. Now it's time for our cheese sauce. I start with a can of cheddar cheese soup mix and add equal parts water or milk. And then you can flavor it however you like, but I'm bringing the heat with a teaspoon of sriracha. Then it's a tablespoon each of Dijon onion and garlic powder. Don't forget the salt and pepper, and give your mixture a generous whisk. Now it's time to add your favorite cheeses. I'm using a sharp cheddar and provolone mozzarella blend. Then pop that mixture into the microwave for about 5 to 6 minutes, or until the pasta is finished cooking. Then you just drain your pasta, add it to a throwaway sheet pan. I like to add a little butter and olive oil for extra flavor, and then just pour over the cheese mixture and make sure to combine generously. Then I'm just going to cover it in plastic wrap and let it chill in the fridge until I'm ready to take it to Barbie's.
Okay, so we have our dredging station here. Don't be shy. My eggs, my flour, some seasoned panko. I like the panko because it gives it a little extra texture. It's not as fine as like a traditional breadcrumb. Okay, so we're going to come in here. We have our scoop. I want to do that. Okay. We're going to start with the flour. Then we come in here into the egg wash. And then lastly, our breadcrumbs. And that goes right onto the tray. And then we'll just repeat the process. Alright, here is the last one. I made about 18. You can always make more if you want, but I have 2 other dishes to consider, so I need to conserve some of the mac and cheese. But this is just for a tasting, so it should be perfect. Let me give my hands a quick rinse. They are filthy. And we're going to pop that in the freezer just to give it time to set up while we start prepping for the rest of our dish. Now we're moving on to mac and cheese waffles. I know, so exciting. So if you want to dice half this onion for me and about half that package of bacon. We're going to be making a bacon jam to garnish the waffles with. It's going to be so good. Now while she does that, I'm going to start on the waffle batter. And we're going to need about 4 cups of this roughly. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's going to be worth it. And for this, you can let the mac and cheese be a little closer to room temperature. That's going to help it blend better. I want it nice and firm for the balls so they stay together, but let's see. And then I'm going to need a cup of flour here. Now this I do want to measure. Flour is one of those things that likes to compact itself, and then you end up getting more flour than you bargained for. So I just want a nice light measurement. And then I just level it off. And that's going to go right in. If you don't have a food processor, you could also use a blender for this. I just like my food processor. It's served me well. And lastly, 2 eggs. And I'm going to crack those in here first so I can watch for eggshells. We do not want eggshells in our waffles. Beautiful, and that's going to go right in. And then we're going to just close that baby tight and give it a good pulse.
Okay, I'm done.
Awesome. Oh, that looks great. So that's going to go in this skillet.
Okay.
Now you'll notice that the bacon, I had it in the freezer so it's still a little hard. 2 reasons. Makes the bacon easier to cut when it's still frozen. And that's going to allow the fat to really render down because we're making a bacon jam, so we need that fat to get like really nice and luscious on us. And I'm just going to stir this around and kind of break it up. Once it hits the hot skillet, that bacon starts to pull apart from itself because you were probably like, it's sticking together, but that's fine. I'm going to let that render down. And we're going to cook our onions in here too. And the bacon fat is going to caramelize those onions, and they're just going to get beautiful golden brown and luscious. Now the bacon is a little salty, but we still want to season here. So I'm going to do just a little with the salt. We need to season the onions as well. And then of course some of the pepper. And we're just going to let those cook down for a while until they get nice and cooked through. And then we'll finish up the jam. Okay, I think our batter is finished. I'm going to take this off. I've already got our little waffle maker. Isn't this adorable? It makes little individual servings. This little light comes on when it's when they're ready to come out. And then I'm just gonna, just a little butter, just to keep that from sticking. And as you can see, our onions and bacon have rendered down nicely. So what I'm gonna do, we'll take our same scoop from earlier. I figured this would be a good size. And we'll be proactive and lay down a couple napkins just in case this decides to misbehave and make a mess. But if you want, I'm going to finish the bacon jam here. If you want to start serving up the waffles. And you may have to play around. Waffles are finicky. Sometimes the first one never comes out right. But you just want to kind of play around. You might add a little more batter. We'll see what happens. It spreads out once you throw it down. And I did end up adding about a ½ cup of buttermilk to that just to get the consistency I wanted. You'll have to play around with that at home, guys. Okay, so to finish this off, I need about a ½ cup of water. And let's see, I also need about a ½ cup of brown sugar. And the water is really just to kind of help the brown sugar dissolve in our skillet here a little better without browning too much. And that's about a ½ Now as you can see, the brown sugar has dissolved nicely, so now it's time to come in here with our balsamic. And I only need about a tablespoon of that. That's pretty good. Just enough to kind of coat the bottom of the skillet. And we'll stir that in as well. And then I'm going to turn that low and we're just going to let it reduce. It's going to get nice and syrupy and sticky. And it's going to be the perfect topper for our waffles. And speaking of waffles, I think if you want to check there, that baby may be ready to come out. And yes, it is. I think we did pretty good. Usually the first one doesn't turn out, but that's got some nice color on it. Oh, that looks beautiful. Alright, our sauce has reduced nicely and we have got a full plate of waffles. I'm still frying up a few more, but I think we'll go ahead and give this a taste. So let's come in here and just get a nice waffle. And then we're gonna ladle some of this bacon jam on top. And I love how like the bacon and onions fall into the little nooks and crannies of the waffle. So let's give it a little taste. Yeah. Come on in. Make sure we get everything in one bite.
Oh, that's delicious.
So what I love about this, the waffles are nice and soft. So the bacon, it gives you like some texture.
It's so good.
It's nice and sweet, but then you get the salty and smokiness of the bacon, so it's just like all kinds of things going on at once. So good. So we're going to finish up here, and then we're going to move on to the chili mac, so stay tuned. Welcome back, guys. Mac and cheese waffles were delicious. Everybody thought so. We're moving on to the mac and cheese balls. They're ready to start frying. I've got some oil here just on a medium heat. I'm just going to drop them in gently. I want them to get a nice color on the outside without the inside like falling apart. And while these fry, we're going to work on our dipping sauce. It's a mayoracha. So if you just want to take about a cup of mayonnaise and a cup of ketchup. That's pretty good. We're not baking here. You can kind of eyeball it. It's all good. Stir that up. Now you can't have a mayoracha without sriracha. So I usually do about a teaspoon or two, depending on how hot you like it. Maybe a little more ketchup.
Okay.
We want kind of like a orangish color. Yeah. And just a little sriracha. About a teaspoon and a half, 2 teaspoons. That's good. If you like it really hot, you can always add more, but as you know, I am a spice wimp. And let's do just a little salt and pepper, just to bring all those flavors together. Now you'll notice I'm not throwing all the balls in at once. That is a bad idea because they will start to steam instead of frying, and you will just get some mushy mac and cheese balls. That is no fun. So I'm doing about maybe 6 at a time. I don't want to overcrowd the skillet, which is perfect because I have 18 prepped here, so that's going to be 3 batches. Now, we'll just give the sauce a little taste. I like it.
Okay.
So we'll set that aside. Now, let's check on our mac and cheese balls. I just like to turn these guys around a little so I can make sure that they're getting nice and coated all the way around. And I'd only froze them just enough for them to set up so they wouldn't fall apart in the oil. So they're not like too hard. But once you get them like nice and golden brown like that, they should be ready to come out. So you're just gonna get that nice kind of gooey, cheesy center, and then the outside gives you that nice crunch. And then we'll throw a couple more of these guys in here. And I think one more. Okay. Alright, while those finish frying, we're going to go ahead and give these a little taste. I've got a little platter that I've arranged these out nicely, and we put our sauce in a little ramekin. But let's go in and I'm going to get a lot of that nice little sauce on there. First thing, you get that crunch. That's like the best part. I love textures in foods. The inside is nice and creamy and cheesy. That sauce, I love it. The ketchup and the sriracha. Just a little heat just to give it something and kind of cut through the richness of it all. So good. So I'm going to finish frying these up, and then we will move on to our final dish. And it is chili mac with Cincinnati style chili, so stay tuned. Alright, guys, we are back. So we cut up the rest of that onion because we are making chili. Cincinnati style chili, that is. Now, if you've never had Cincinnati style chili before, it's a little different than your traditional chili. It's almost, I like to describe it like a mole sauce with some texture to it. So basically, it's almost like a minced meat, but the sauce is really flavorful. So it's not a chunky like Texas style chili with the beans and the tomatoes in it. And yeah, if you want to prep that garlic for me, easiest way to peel garlic, just take the knife and give it a good whack, and that all comes right off. And just mince that. Well, you can dice it generously because I'm gonna use the immersion blender, so it's okay if the pieces are a little big. And then I've got my ground beef here. We're gonna go ahead and throw this in using the same skillet from earlier. Why not? It's just gonna give us some extra flavor. And I got this on a medium to low heat. So I kind of want to let this ground beef render out. If you want, you can go ahead and throw the onions in here. We'll hold off on the garlic because it does not take long to cook at all. And it'll burn. Yep, just throw it right in. We may not even need all of that, but that's okay. I'll let this cook down. I've also got the rest of our mac and cheese. I'm reheating it in the oven, just 400 degrees. It should be good and hot about the time this is done, so that'll be perfect. Alright guys, our meat and onions are cooking down nicely. Now this dish, if you look it up online, takes anywhere from like 2 to 3 hours. I don't think so, I don't have time for that. So we're gonna expedite this process by doing the broth separate while that cooks down. And we're gonna get all of our seasonings going here. So I've got 2 cups of beef broth. To that, I'm going to do about 4 tablespoons of any kind of like pasta sauce, or you could even use like tomato paste if you get some like water first and like kind of break it down. And then all of our seasonings here. So we're going to start with some salt and pepper. And of course, broth is already kind of a little salty, so you don't need too much salt. And some pepper. And this is one of those everything but the kitchen sink. It has a lot of different spices going on here. So some paprika. And what's great about these, it's about a tablespoon each, so it's really easy to remember the measurements. Some chili powder here. Now this, I'm only going to do a teaspoon. I don't want it like crazy hot. I just want enough heat that you know it's there. Some allspice. About a teaspoon of that. And about a teaspoon of cinnamon. If you want, you can also add a little chocolate to this. Some of these recipes have chocolate, but I'm not doing that today. And we're just going to give that a little stir. And this is going to come to a boil, and all those spices are going to break down at about the same time that this beef is ready. And then you just kind of blend it up and you're done. You don't have to waste all that time letting everything cook down. Easy peasy, that's what I say. Now I think our garlic is ready to go in. I always add it last because it will burn. It does not take long for garlic to cook. And then to this, I'm going to add some Worcestershire. That's how I pronounce it. About a teaspoon of that as well. You just want to really coat that meat, give it a nice rich flavor. And some apple cider vinegar. If you don't have this, you could also use white vinegar. I wouldn't use any flavored vinegars like red wine or anything like that. And then we're going to do about a teaspoon of that as well. That's just going to give us a nice little tanginess. Really help marry all these flavors. And then I'm just going to let this continue to cook down, let our broth come to temp, and we will be ready to go. Alright, I'm just going to give this a little taste and make sure it's where I want it. So good. So I'm going to turn this off. And this is going to go straight into our chili, onions, and garlic, which is just cooked through. Yum, yum, yum. Okay, now, you could throw some beans in this and eat it as is, and you've got your chili. And that's great too, because chili is like a several hour kind of thing. But Cincinnati chili has just a little different kind of thing going on. So I've got my immersion blender here, which is just like a handheld blender. And we're just going to come in here, and I'm going to turn this on. And I'm just going to come down over top. I don't want to completely puree this. I just want to get that texture of like mincemeat. And I want to break up the onion and the garlic. And you can see like we're already getting a different consistency here. Almost like a loose kind of refried bean kind of look to it. And what's great about blending it like this is we're marrying the ground beef with all the flavors from that broth that I made. So you don't have to let this stew on the stove for hours. And I just want to make sure that it's nice and combined, but you can see we still got the texture of our meat. And I think that is pretty good. Alright. Alright guys, our chili, oh, it looks so good. It's nice and thin, but it's not, I still have a little texture in it. And we have just reheated this mac and cheese. Oh, look at that, it's steaming, it's nice and good and hot. Let's go in here and plate up. I'm just going to get a nice scoop of this. And then we're going to take our chili. Let's go ahead and turn that off, I think. And then we'll take our chili and ladle it right on top. And there you have just taken your boring leftover mac and cheese and made a whole new dish out of it. Well, let's dig in. Maybe hot, yeah. That's like definitely gonna be low on this. Mmm.
Oh, it's good.
Oh, it's so good. So I like this. If you go to a chili parlor, one of the chains, their sauce is a little runny. This one I like, it's nice and thick and it's really clinging to this pasta. You get all those warming spices, but it's not too hot, it's just like a subtle heat. And it marries beautifully with this creamy mac and cheese. So, so good. Well, I thank you guys for joining me once again, and my friend Barbie. We are going to finish up here, but I implore you guys to hit the comment section, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, bon appetit.